Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth Podcast. I'm Anish Gupta, and today we are continuing the QB Whisperer series with another episode. And this one is actually going to be on a quarterback that's not as young. So it's going to be on Ben Roethlisberger. And, you know, this series has always been about the context of the quarterback coming into the league, the years prior to this year, what they're doing this year, their strengths, their weaknesses, and are they a franchise guy? So without any further ado, let's get into it. So with Ben Roethlisberger, obviously coming out of Miami, Ohio, he was in that 2004 draft class with the three. It was the big three. It was him, Eli Manning, and Philip Rivers. And with those three, he was viewed as the second best quarterback to Eli, to many teams. And there were thoughts of the Steelers going with Rivers. It was just a lot of back and forth with the draft class. And coming off a season where he had 4,400 yards or 4486 yards, 4,486. He had 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. He was viewed as a tall, mobile passer with long arms. He had good velocity on deep throws, and he had some good, he had some quickness to him. There were some negatives in the sense that he, relied more on overpowering defenders rather than eluding them. So, Big Ben, hence the name Big Ben. He tried to rely on basically his strength. But he showed patience, but he also tried too hard to make plays. That's why he would throw it into coverage, and then with zone coverage, he just wasn't as responsive. But nevertheless, the Steelers took him, and in the first few years, he basically rode a good defense and a good running game. Now, I hate saying that because, again, I'm the type of guy where if you win, you get my vote. So he was winning. He was off to a 13-0 start in his career. He won the Super Bowl in his second season. And obviously, Pittsburgh had that hardcore smash mouth, no nonsense, hardcore discipline culture behind Cowher. And then it was obviously replicated by Mike Tomlin. His playoff stats were never extraordinary. He never had, those insane, like 3 touchdown, no interception games. His passer rating was never that good in the playoffs. But hey, that throw to Santonio Holmes is arguably a top 3 catch all time. Arguably one of the best catches in the Super Bowl, and I'll put up the clip here. It was just a tremendous throw. He moves out of the pocket a little bit and just finds Santonio Holmes essentially over 3 defenders. It was, a little bit of a break in the zone coverage, but it was just a perfect ball. And obviously, Santonio Holmes makes the catch, and the Steelers eventually won that Super Bowl. So it was a great throw, and he showed some playoff caliber moments. And for me, how I do with iconic moments, it just matters to me. So I think that's what kind of led Big Ben to be an iconic Steelers figure. This was in 2008. But there's been some disappointment. We can't deny that. I mean, in the years with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, you have all this talent. I mean, guys like Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton was a little bit, for those, OG NFL fans, or at least who have been with the NFL for a while. You guys remember Marcus Wheaton. Um, you know, they he's got a lot. He had a lot of talent around the offense. One of the best offensive lines of the decade. Villanueva, Mike Pouncey, I think, or Mark. No, I think it's Marquise Pouncey. David DeCastro. He's had a good line for a while. Those are some All-Pro caliber guys. But he's never gotten back to the big game. I mean, it's been what I think 10 years. Same him and Aaron Rodgers both, and that's a little bit of a disappointment considering what they've had. But let's go to the current year. He's 12-3, which is his best record in a while. And his season's basically over at the time I'm recording this. Obviously, Mason Rudolph just got the start. So he finished with 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 10 picks. And he leads the league in completions, but he also leads the league in attempts with a 65% completion percentage. Now, my thing on that is I don't think the Steelers can win, those big games with Ben throwing the ball that many times. I mean, we've seen him throw it 50 times against Washington. Another 45 times against Cincinnati. I mean, you're not going to win like that. And that's why I think, they're shying away from what they do best, or at least what they've done best historically, which is run the football, play smash mouth football, and, honestly, win games through their defense, which is what they're trying to do. But obviously with the loss of Spillane, Devin Bush, Bud Dupree, it's a little bit hard to keep that defense, intact from what they were in the beginning of the year. But needless to say, he's had a good year, and I was one of those people when they were, I think, 7-0. They just knocked off the Titans. I thought Big Ben should have been in that MVP discussion because he was winning games and he was actually playing really well. the whole notion of his noodle arm, I think, was pretty much gone after the elbow injury. Obviously, didn't touch much on that, but you know what it was. I mean, the Steelers still went 8-8 without him, but there was a clear lack of good quarterback play, and I think he's made up for it to some extent. So let's kind of move on to his strengths. So he is a gunslinger, I would say. I would give him that title because, I mean, just the way he throws the football, he throws it with such power, at least throughout his career. He's tough and, he can throw the ball downfield. And when he needs to, he does it. And the thing is, they should trust him to throw the ball downfield a little bit more because we just saw it against the Colts, right? There was a play that took the lead again just this past week against the Indianapolis, right? I think he beats the zone coverage, which was something that he wasn't that good at early in his career. But, we see the development of quarterbacks over time. And it was just a perfect ball. It was to Juju Smith-Schuster, and he sees the linebackers moving back, and the linebackers trying to read his eyes. So they try and move back, but he just fits it perfectly right in between the zone. I think there was a safety also coming up to the left side, just a perfectly thrown ball. And, Juju, who beats the kind of gets open in the zone, just a perfectly thrown ball, puts it in the right place, and it's a touchdown to take the lead. He also moves his eyes. There was like he knows how to like be shifty with his body, but also with his eyes and footwork. So there was a play against Cincinnati, not the game they lost, the game they won. Just a good play design and good execution. I'll put the play up. I think it was another deep throw to Juju Smith-Schuster. Just, his eyes are going left. So the safety who's playing back, I think it might have been a cover one robber concept that, I've shown pretty much a lot on this in this series. But, the safety moves, follows his eyes, because he's playing his own while the other corners are playing man. Juju gets open. I think that was Ben's primary target, and I think he made that clear when he just fires it right away after the safety moves. So he knew where he was going with the ball, and the ability to trick defenders with your eyes is so important, and it's so crucial for these veteran quarterbacks, and you see it, with guys like Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to call Patrick Mahomes a veteran, but he does it. Tom Brady does it all the time. And it's just, they're able to get the ball out quick because they can do that. They quickly move these defenders. Think about it. An average NFL play is only a few seconds. So the amount of time that you can get a defensive back out of place, it's so crucial for play to play, and which leads to, honestly, it could affect the course of the game. So, this was a great play design, and it was just better execution by Big Ben against, I believe it was, a decent Cincinnati defense. And I think it might have been Jesse Bates, the safety that he got there, who's a really good safety. So good play by him. Now, a little bit of his weaknesses, I do say his footwork can be good at times, but it is also very weak considering the fact that, he relies on it's weak pocket presence, weak footwork, and it's just marginal mobility. That's the main problem, right? He's a big guy. It's hard to move at his size. And, there's a play against Cincinnati where his foot isn't even pointing to where he wants to go. Now, normally that's what you do as a quarterback, and it was a little bit too far wide, both his feet. I'll put the picture up here. I mean, it's just, when you're a quarterback, you either want to move to the side and, use your whole body to at least fling the ball down the field, because, I mean, these 20 to 30 yard throws, I mean, it's also a little bit more through the air too. So, a 20 to 30 yard completion may actually be like, 37 yards through the air. So there is an impact. And, to use your whole body to throw and contort yourself to get the ball further downfield. It's the reason why his velocity on certain deep balls just isn't there, and it's inconsistent. That is a weakness that I've noticed with him, right? So there's another one too, where it's just, I think weak footwork also leads to poor decision-making, because with your feet, you're able to tell, at least show where you want to go with the football. While I know you're trying to disguise stuff, that's not the way to do it. Eyes would be the way to do it, not your feet. So there was a play, again, I keep going to the Cincinnati game because that was honestly his worst game of the year. There was a throw across the middle to Chase Claypool. Now, this is actually I'll leave the video up here, top right, so you guys can see it. Jared Goff, in my Jared Goff episode, it was a very similar play, just flipped. So, Goff had a slant to Kupp, I believe. Here, there's a slant to Chase Claypool. It's an RPO. I mean, he just doesn't recognize that the linebacker is dropping back. It's a similar disguised cover one coverage. He doesn't recognize the linebackers moving back, and it was just a terrible decision. Why would you throw when there are two linebackers moving up and the linebacker is reading his eyes at the same time? Should have been picked. He got pretty lucky. But yeah, you have to recognize the coverage there. You're in the league too long. That is something that you can't do. And in fact, 2 plays later, now we all know the play where Juju Smith-Schuster got absolutely rocked. Now, as a Browns fan, took a little bit of pride in that one. I got a little bit excited. But it was a 3rd and 7, I think, and it's a shallow cross. It's a shallow cross concept. I think Claypool was supposed to either do an in route or go up the post. So Ben throws it to Juju, which is fine because he's open at least, and you get some yards. But Chase Claypool gets a good push off the DB, or at least breaks away from him, and it's wide open. He's zooming down. I mean, that's in Ben's field of vision. You have to hit that. That's a throw that you have to know and have to expect and trust your receivers to do, because Claypool makes a great break on this play. But Big Ben, who has both receivers in his field of vision, doesn't recognize not a botched coverage, but just a good player by receiver. I mean, that's poor decision making right there. And obviously, it leads to Juju Smith-Schuster fumbling. We can give him blame there, but also a little bit of blame on Ben for not finding the better option there. And I think it goes to show that's one example, but I think at times where Big Ben will quickly fire it away and not wait for the play to develop, he also waits for the play to happen a little bit too much. So he'll wait for a long time, and that leads to his marginal mobility in the pocket. You see him take some unnecessary sacks. It's just he's trying to move around, and it leads to off balance throws. And sometimes it works. I mean, we saw it in the Super Bowl again. Against the Arizona Cardinals, where a lot of those throws on that game-winning touchdown drive, he was making it off balance. So you live by it, you also die by it. I mean, there are plays where you can't rely on throwing it on the run to get it to where you want to be. And you see it with Ben. Actually, he just doesn't throw as many spirals as you may think, especially on the run. I don't see it from him, and it's hard because, especially obviously with the elbow, but we see guys like Patrick Mahomes just throw spirals left and right no matter where it is. But with Big Ben, his ball velocity is very inconsistent, and I think that leads to some bad throws. There's not enough air on some of his passes, and that leads to some picks where you may not expect it. It may lead to some short throws, and I think that's probably his biggest weakness in terms of his passing ability. So the question still remains, though: is he a franchise guy? Look, Big Ben has been a representative of the Steelers organization for the last 16 years. So I think he got a contract extension recently. I think it was a couple of years ago. I would still say he actually is, because he's still winning this team games. And we saw an 8-8 team last year with virtually the same pieces. I wouldn't say anyone really took a huge step forward. Maybe Deontay Johnson, right? You guys could maybe agree with me there. They got Eric Ebron. Chase Claypool. I'm stupid. But, I mean, he was a rookie. But, Big Ben really is taking the same overall team, and he's elevated it from an 8-8 team to a playoff contender. I don't know. I mean, Super Bowl contender. I think that title has been lost recently. But, I still give him the nod, and I would still say he can still produce at a good level for a couple years. I would definitely advise the Steelers to go look at quarterbacks in the younger direction. There are so many out. I think Jack made a video on top landing spots for Dwayne Haskins. Hey, Mike Tomlin's a very no-nonsense type of individual. Dwayne Haskins has a little bit cuckoo. But, hey, maybe he could learn under Ben, because, I feel like Ben is a really good teacher. I think he really helped Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. And I think he's learned from guys like Cower and Mike Tomlin. These are good coaches. He's a very good mentor in that regard. So I'm going to give him the nod and say, at least for a couple of years, Steelers fans should still want Big Ben to represent them as their quarterback. But, if I was the Steelers front office, I would look for, a guy that I can take in the later rounds, maybe this year's draft. I don't think they can get a Kyle Trask, but if they could, dude, I think that would be a very underrated pickup for them. Not to mention the fact that, there are some young quarterbacks out there that they could potentially get in the market. But overall, I think that is my take on Big Ben. They've got the playoffs coming up for them. Hopefully my Browns can be in there as well. We play them this week, so let's see how that goes. But yeah, Big Ben, so far, that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Any strengths that I missed, any weaknesses that I missed. do you guys think that Big Ben can still be the quarterback of the quote unquote future for the Steelers? Curious to hear your thoughts. Again, there are more episodes like this. I'll link the playlist above if you guys want to see any of your favorite quarterbacks that I talk about. Again, follow us on all our social. I'll put them down below in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.